What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's Monday Mindset video. This week we're going to be discussing the power of the mind and mind over matter through Dr. Joe Dispenza. So Dr. Joe Dispenza is an incredible author, doctor, and teaches this really cool philosophy. And he has a very interesting story on how he got started on this path of self-improvement for other people and really helping people solve deep-rooted problems in their life, health issues, and plenty of other things. So back in 1986, I want to say it was, Joe Dispenza was doing a triathlon in California. And on the portion of riding a bike, he was going down the street, he's cruising down this hill, and he gets like this intersection, and this Ford Bronco going about 55 miles an hour completely demolished him. He shot him off his bike, he hit the ground, and once he hit the ground, he catapulted off his bike, hit the ground, and ruptured 6 vertebrae in his spine. So he got to the hospital and he's completely mangled and basically paralyzed. And the doctors are saying to him, hey, listen, you probably need an emergency surgery right now, but the success rate of that surgery isn't too high, and there's a pretty good chance that you're never going to walk again, whether you get the surgery or don't get the surgery. I think there's some kind of also chance of death from this surgery. So he's sitting in the hospital, he's thinking to himself, do I get this or not do this? Like, my life's kind of over, I can't walk. And that's a pretty hard pill to swallow, especially in that moment of just shock. So he's looking down, he's kind of cut all over his body. He ends up checking himself out of the hospital, and he's forced to lay down on this like massage table with his face down in a little hole, and he's looking down for like 6, 7, 8, 9 months, maybe longer than that. And as he's going through this long days of laying down face first on this table, he's seeing the cuts on his skin kind of reheal itself, and the scabs are going away and skin's forming over again. So he starts thinking to himself, that over and over again, the power of the thought that made the body heals the body. That if his body can heal itself, like through its skin and these scabs going away and forcing new skin to come, then he could actually construct his spine again. This is a crazy thought to think about, that he can go back into his mind now and reconstruct his spine. Remember, the power of thought that made the body heals the body. So he lay down on the massage table and he reconstructed his spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. And this happened over a course of 8, 9 months. And at some points, he would think about living in a wheelchair. He would think about not walking again. He would hit this dark point. And he says that he went through like a solid 6 weeks of torture, of hitting this really deep point of maybe even attempting suicide. And how's he ever going to live again? How's he going to do this in his life? Remember, before he was running a triathlon, and now he's face first on a massage table. It's a hard pill to swallow going into it. So for 6 weeks, he hit this dark time, and he was really frustrated because he couldn't get his mind to do exactly what he wanted to do. Remember, his mission was to construct his vertebrae, or construct his spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. So for about 3 hours, he would close his eyes and imagine his spine and start reconstructing it piece by piece, so vertebrae by vertebrae. At the course of another 6 weeks, he went through his entire spine and noticed he started seeing changes coming in. His minor motor function started coming back, his body began to change dramatically, and he ended up back on his feet again in 10 weeks and training again in 12 weeks. And throughout this process, he made a deal with himself from the beginning that if he could heal his body and reconstruct his body, that he'll spend his entire life studying the mind-body connection and mind over matter. So since 1986, Dr. Joe Dispenza has been on this journey and teaching other people how to do the same thing in their life with other issues, maybe the same issue and other problems. He's an author of a bunch of great books. The 2 I've personally read are Becoming Supernatural and Breaking the Habit of Becoming Yourself. And Breaking the Habit of Becoming Yourself, he goes over the meditation that he did in here. And I want to say it's a 6-week meditation as well. And just in a success story from that alone, I have a friend that at one point in his life was struggling with very bad anxiety. And he came across Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, and he followed the meditation process all throughout and ended up healing his anxiety. His anxiety before it was crippling anxiety. It would force him to the hospital, couldn't do things, and it's a really bad point in his life. But he trusted Dr. Dispenza, did his meditation, and actually ended up curing his anxiety. So I found this other clip from Joe Dispenza that I was going over, and he talks about this thing, and we're going to get to that at the end of this little blurb here. So it says, the same thought leads to the same choice. The same choice leads to the same behavior. The same behavior creates the same experience, and the same experience produces the same emotion. So if you think about 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts in one day, which we actually do, and 90% of the thoughts are the same thing from the day before, and you believe that thoughts have such meaning and such thing to do with your destiny, then your life's not going to change very much, right? So the more conscious you become of the unconscious states of the mind and the body, the less likely you're going to go unconscious. And during the day, the thought that is going to slip between your awareness is unchecked. So you're not going to miss these little things throughout the day. Remember, if you're thinking 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts per day, and 90% of them are the same thing day in and day out, your life's not going to change too much. But if you become conscious of these thoughts that you're thinking of and what's going on, like course repetition and putting a stop in that, your life's going to change. So the act of becoming more conscious of the process of how you think and how you act is called metacognition. So that's the study of your thoughts and why people think certain ways. So if you look at this process of Joe Dispenza going in and actually reconstructing his whole body from his mind in like basically meditative power, that's the power of the mind. What can that power of the mind do for you in your day-to-day life? Like what can you utilize your mind to actually go ahead and accomplish for yourself? It doesn't have to be in your body, it could be outside. The same way you could produce results in your body, or reproduce results outside of your body. And then there's also this topic of metacognition. It's something that's going to be going over in next week's video or in a video going forward. And this is a really cool topic that I think we could use to really apply to our life. I definitely recommend looking into Dr. Joe Dispenza and seeing how he can help you, and just realizing the change he went through of becoming like, almost paralyzed to reconstructing his spine to training again 12 weeks after his spine's fully healed. It just goes to show the power of the mind and what we could do day in, day out. So when you hit a hard point in your life, or a hard point in work or in your sport, or whatever it is that your mission is put you on, know that you have the power to get through it. The power of the mind is so mighty and it can get you through anything. I hope you enjoyed this, and stay tuned for the next episode of Metacognition.